Joined on the broadcast by former Cape Breton Scream Eagle Josh Dill, a key part of the early teams in Cape Breton. Longtime fans might remember I played for the first 3 seasons for the Scream Eagles. Josh, you made your debut in the QMJHL as an 18-year-old rookie. Tell us how that came to be.
I started the year before my 17-year-old year. I was in Granby. Obviously, the team was purchased by a group in Cape Breton, so I was in Granby, and I actually went to car accident camp and didn't play that year till I think it was closer to Christmas, so I came home and played Junior A for East Hants that year.
Now, were you excited to find out you'd have a chance to play a major junior in Nova Scotia? Obviously, opportunities like that were pretty limited back at that time.
I was ecstatic to hear when I got the call. The team was moving to Cape Breton. I was unsure if I was going to go back to Granby when I was there. There was 3 English guys, and it was a French town, and it was different at the time. Back when I played, obviously there was way less English-speaking guys, so you had your core group of the team was all French, and then, you had your 4, 5, 6 English-speaking guys, and so obviously when the team was purchased by the group in Cape Breton, I think most of the English guys were pretty happy that it happened.
Now, you had 13 goals in that first season, so you obviously had some offensive success, although I think a lot of the fans might remember you as a rough and tumble guy, too, that wasn't afraid to mix it up. Describe the physical nature of the Q in those days. In particular, we know you had some big-time battles with Halifax.
My first year, I had a few penalty minutes and actually put up some half-decent points. I was pretty happy with my first year, and I missed, I think, close to 20 games that year. My appendix, I had emergency appendix surgery in Val d'Or, so I finished the year a month early. Coming out of Junior A, playing half the games, and you only practice a couple times a week compared to being on the ice every day. And obviously I was a smaller guy, but I still played a bigger role, I guess, than I was. But I got beat up a lot, obviously. It was no secret, but I did what I had to do to make the team.
Fans always appreciate that effort, too, and as you said, certainly found the score sheet a few times, too. Tell us about your 20-year-old season. Pretty interesting. You had laser surgery in the offseason, and then the team ends up picking their 20-year-olds, and you weren't in the picture originally, but then you come into the picture in the second part of the season. Walk us through that 20-year-old year.
It was pretty tough. I was told I had a spot on the team as a 20-year-old and came back, and there was a few differences at the end of training camp. I wasn't there, even though there was a 20-year-old spot, still was not there. I really wasn't given much of an explanation, and at that point I still wanted to play major junior, and so I came back and I played Junior A for a bit, and then once the coach that was there at the time was fired, Pascal Vincent came in, and the day he came back, he called me personally and asked me if I was interested in coming back to finish the year, and I think it was the 1st of December at the time. You're a young kid. I had some hostility about being let go, but at the time he was very professional about it, and he was very honest with me, and I made the decision to come back, and it was the best decision I ever made. So when I came back, he put my A back on my jersey as soon as I came back and gave me a leadership role, so it was great.
Yeah, you come back in that last season, almost a point a game down the stretch, so I think you're probably pretty happy with that. Anything in particular stand out about your time in Cape Breton? 2.5 seasons, I'm sure there's some great memories there.
It was great to be there, to finish your junior career, 2.5, 3 years, whatever I was there. And I met so many great people there and had great billets where I was. And I met a lot of teammates, and I'm still in touch with a lot of them. My overage year when I came back, I lived with one of my best friends, Artem Ribin. He's in Russia now, and we still talk all the time. It's an experience you never forget. I think the guys that are there now, you're living a high, and you don't realize the memories down the road that you'll remember. So you just cherish them, and at the time, you don't really realize how important part of your life it is, but it was great for me.
Yeah, you mentioned Artem Ribin. We have to give him thanks. He was actually the one that helped connect me with Josh, so it's great to have him on the broadcast. After finishing the Q, you play at Acadia. Tell us about what that was like, your university career, and did the studies you undertook at Acadia, did that have anything to do with what you're doing now?
I didn't know if I was going to go play some minor pro. I wasn't really the most scholastic player out there. I decided my first year, I committed to Acadia, which is only 20 minutes down the road. So I played my first year. I had knee surgery halfway through that year, so I didn't finish the second half. And then the next year, I didn't know what I wanted to do, so I went down to the East Coast and hung around there for a bit with one of my real good friends, Jason Spence. So I went down to Johnstown, and there was a new coach at Acadia that year, and he wanted me to go back, and I didn't know what I wanted to do. I sat that year out. The next year, I went back and played 4 years at Acadia. The school part of it it's tough. You're on the ice every day and games, and you're in class, and you're studying at night, and you're a full-time hockey player plus a full-time student. So I got 2 or 3 degrees out of it. We had a good run my last year. We went to the Nationals. Personally, the hockey, I didn't think coming out of junior that university hockey was going to be what it was, but you're playing with men. It's big, strong, fast. It's a really fast game at the university level.
Now, lastly, I wanted to ask, what are you up to now? I know you mentioned before you work for yourself, and you also have some involvement in the hockey scene as well.
I coach the junior B team here in the Valley, so I've been doing that for 5 years. Got into that. It wasn't in my plans, but the team right down to the last hour didn't have a coach 5 years ago, and my father actually helped out with the team, and they convinced me to take the team over and coach them 5 years ago, and ever since I've been coaching at that level. And on a professional level, I have a construction company, and it takes up a lot of time, so my family doesn't get to see me as much as they should.
Fans will be happy to hear that you're doing well. You might not be as popular in Cape Breton hockey circles after leading the Valley past Glace Bay, but I think people will forgive you for that. Thanks for doing this, Josh, and all the best.
Thank you.